Alright, so yesterday the final thing we did was fractional distance on a number line, okay? Today we're going to do some fractional distance on a coordinate plane. It's the exact same thing, we're just going to do it twice. Okay? We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday twice. In this problem, I want to find some point that is 1/4 of the way from C to D. I'm going to start by just looking at the x coordinates, okay, and do the same thing we did yesterday. So, what is the x coordinate of this point C here? -4. Okay. What's the x coordinate of point D? The x coordinate of point D is 4, right? So, all I'm thinking about is the x distance here, okay? What's that total x distance from -4 to 4? 8. Right? So my x distance, I'll write that down here, is 8. But the problem tells me that I want 1/4 of that distance. Okay? So what is 1/4 of 8? 2, right? And to get that, remember, we're just multiplying. So 1/4 times 8 is 2. So just like yesterday, right, we're saying I'm starting at -4, and I want to go a distance of 2. So we can either think about that on the graph, right, start here and just count a distance of 2, or we can say I'm starting at -4, I'm going a distance of 2, so I will end up then at -2. Okay so far? So now I just want to do the same thing again for the y coordinates this time. Right? So I want to think about the y coordinate of C and then going up to the y coordinate of D. So what's the y coordinate of C? -2. And then the y coordinate of D? +2. Right? So what is that total y distance? 4. Okay? So I'll jot that down here. That total y distance is 4. But again, I only want 1/4 of that. So 1/4 of 4, I heard somebody say 1. Right? 1/4 times 4 is just 1. So again, that's not my answer. That's how far I want to travel. So I'm starting at a y coordinate of -2. And I'm traveling a distance of 1. So I'm going to end up at a y coordinate of -1. So my final answer is the coordinate point, -2, -1. Okay, we found that my new x coordinate is -2. My new y coordinate is -1. So this point right here, the point -2, -1, is the point that is 1/4 of the distance from C to D. Right? And a lot of people have been getting tripped up on, do I start at C or do I start at D? Whichever comes first in the from, right? From C means I'm starting at C. And so if I'm starting at C and going an x distance of 2 and a y distance of 1, I would end up right here. Questions? So it's the same thing we did yesterday, just twice. We're doing it for the x's and for the y's now. Right? If there aren't any questions, let's jump down and try one. Okay, so number 2 on the exercises is a similar problem. Okay, we want to find some point y on this line GH that is 2/3 of the distance from G to H. Okay, so first we need to find the total x distance. Find 2/3 of that distance, go that far, find the total y distance, take 2/3 of that, go that distance from where we start. So let's take a few minutes here and try this one.
Okay.
Oh, you just did that.
I have to start by labeling my beginning points. So that is -2, -5, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
Then I do the distance across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I add, you take 6, and you multiply it by the 2/3. And you get your answer. What was it? Shout it out. 4. Then I go back to my starting point and add the 4. And that gives me 2. Are we with me?
Yeah.
All right, so then we go up, and it was 9, I believe, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
9 times 2/3, which was what?
6.
6. I add that to the next one, which is what? What is -5 plus 6? 1. And look, when I graph it out, doesn't that look about 2/3 of the way up the line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, because we're about to add something else. Don't you look at me like that.
Better
Miss
stop.
Kindergarten.
You're gonna pause it. You're gonna pause it.
You go down to the little.
I don't wanna do that.
You gotta pause it.
Okay.
Hunter's doing it. Oh yeah, Hunter.
How you pause it?
There is, but I think the graphical way is a lot easier.
Yeah, probably. I think it was Mr. Haynes was rubbing off on it.
Oh
He
man.
wasn't allowed to use decimals.
Yeah, we were.
Like the end of the year.
He hated me. You start recording already?
Alright, one more type of problem that we're going to look at here today. Okay? On this one, we are given an endpoint and a midpoint, and we are asked to find the other endpoint. Okay, so these 2 points, M and B, are the first example on your paper. Okay?
Yep.
M is at point -1, 2, and B is at point 3, -5. What they tell us is that B is an endpoint, M is a midpoint, and we want to find the other endpoint. So if we think about it, well, that point should be like up here somewhere, right? I want you guys to take 3 or 4 minutes here and see if you can come up with an exact way to find it using a graph. Okay, so you can type these coordinate points onto Desmos so that you can have a visual on your computer. Okay, we're going to take a couple of minutes to see if you can come up with a good way to find where that point would be exactly up here. And ignore this K and L is just the next example, so don't look at those points. Those have nothing to do with this example. All right? So see if you can figure out an exact way to find the other endpoint. We'll do it together here in a few minutes, but I want you guys to take a couple of minutes here.
You said this is the midpoint?
Yeah, so M is the midpoint, and the other endpoint would be up here somewhere. Right? So see if you can come up with an exact way to find that from the graph. Got it?
Yeah. Couldn't you just like start from B and then go up and like find like the distance and then do it again like from out?
Like calculate using the distance formula?
Yeah, so like go up to 7, then over to 3, and then go up 7, 3 again.
That's going to be the easiest way to do it. Yep. I think it's 4 though.
It is so much easier.
4.
Yeah.
Last year we did that, what I showed you for everyone, it was like, and I got good at it, but now like that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
D'Angelo, do you remember when we did this last year, kind of?
Yeah.
Do you remember how we would draw it out, like on a line?
Where's A, B?
It doesn't be like this, better, to be this way.
How do you do that? How do you get
No, where's A? Oh, wait, where's A?
So, we're trying to figure out, we have a minute. We have a minute. What is?
No, I think this is just an example.
Yep, here somewhere, right?
How would you? Like knowing those two.
Okay, so it'd be
It's not a right
that's
or
the
wrong
mid.
thing.
So how would we figure out exactly what it is?
If you
Hold
have.
up, how the heck did you do that?
Made myself.
So you can type these in. You can just type parentheses -1, comma 2, parentheses, and it'll come up with a point on there.
Alright, how'd you do the little labels?
This is
So then
that.
if you so go ahead and type in that point.
So,
I know.
Go ahead.
So like, let me give
What did you do? The X1, Y1?
How do we get from?
You could. That's one way that we could do it. Yeah. Yeah. Just check the box.
this is, yeah, let's read.
Does X2 go in front of X1?
Usually, yeah. Alright, so let's bring it back together up here. I've heard at least a few people come up with the easy way of figuring this out. Okay? If M is the midpoint, okay, the other endpoint is going to be the exact same distance away. So what I want to figure out is, well, what's the distance from B to M? I don't have to know this diagonal distance. It's probably going to be easier if I just count how far over and how far up. Right? So from B to M, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go that exact same distance again to get to the other endpoint. Right? So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that will be where my other endpoint is. Okay? A midpoint is exactly halfway in between 2 points, right? So if I find the distance from one endpoint to the midpoint, I just go that exact same distance again to get to the other endpoint. So the coordinates then, where are we? -5, 9 would be the answer here. Right? So we're just counting on a graph. Questions? All right, you guys try the next one. Okay, just the next one, just number 2. You can type those points into your graph. Okay, or I've got them up here. You can look on the board if you don't want to type them in. Okay, K and L are here, and we're told that K is the midpoint. So I want to find the other endpoint, J. Is that a question or just resting? So there was a question identical to these types of questions on the air test last year, okay, on the geometry air test. So these types of things absolutely show up on the air test. for this one, I think we should end up with -2, 14. Okay. From my end point, I go over 3 up 4. So then from the midpoint, I will go over 3 up 4 to get to the other end points. Any questions?